and tell us when.
You are good to go.
Okay, we have come out of non-public session at 7:20. No votes were taken during non-public session. We discussed personnel matters. We'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm gonna get out of the way.
We have one resignation this month, and that is Connor Martin, and I regretfully recommend that we accept his resignation from the custodian position.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Connor Martin with regrets and wish him well. Second,
I believe that's as of September 30th.
as of September 30th. I will amend that. Also, just want to comment, he wrote a lovely letter. That was lovely.
Okay, do we have a motion in a second?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I took it off there for a second. Carrie?
Yes.
Misty?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Erica?
Yes.
Yes, myself, yes, thank you.
Thank you. And I have a slate of nominations, and I am going to nominate for employment Sandra Caravan as a long-term substitute teacher in science. And that would be at a salary of $205.71 a day coming from local operating budget. I nominate Megan Cody for kitchen worker at $10 an hour out of local operating budget. Nominate Amanda Russell as interim assistant principal at a salary of $68,000 coming from local operating budget. Do we want to vote on those and then the stipends, or you want me to nominate everybody at
We'll
once?
do the salaries first.
Okay, so I recommend those folks if someone would like to so move.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on this?
Would these all start immediately?
Ms. Principal?
The AP would be pending filling in the position.
Okay. And these are one-year positions for everyone listed, correct? For the remainder of the year. And the salary position would be prorated.
Correct.
Okay.
Wait, the science long-term sub, is that for the full year or just until? I thought that was a short, long-term. I
Yes.
think MLA long-term with
It's longer than a week, but not a full year.
Smaller
Okay.
than a bread box, right, but like, we know the end date of that one, correct?
Yes, I believe it is.
And it's not anticipated to be for the full year.
Okay,
Correct.
thank
I
you.
think that's through
But,
Jan.
but the other two are for the full year,
For the
and the third
remainder of the school
position
year.
would be a prorated salary. Thank you.
Any further? Carrie?
Yes.
Misty?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Erica?
Yes.
And I abstain.
Thank you. And I'd like to nominate,
Conflict of interest, I abstain.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, good for you.
I would like to nominate several mentors and request one stipend payment. I would like to request a stipend payment to Mr. Eric Gale in the amount of $500 from the REAP grant for serving in the summertime on the Superintendent's Advisory Committee. I wish to nominate Tracy Hanson for 2 mentor positions, each at $1,000 from local operating budget. Want to nominate Georgia Garland for a mentorship at $1,000 local operating budget. Recommending Janet Homiak for a mentoring position, $1,000 in local operating budget. Carrie Grant for a mentorship, $1,000 in local operating budget. Ms. Kim Morissette for 2 mentorships, each at $1,000 local operating budget, and Andrea Clinch as a mentor, $1,000 local operating budget. If anyone would like to so move, I recommend these payments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Carrie?
Yep.
Misty?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Erica?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I just want to clarify, one of the positions is a mentor for a substitute. And if that substitute leaves before the year is up, that position, that will be prorated.
Right.
I just want that in the minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
In our school board timeline this month, in the second meeting of September, we should discuss budget timelines and discipline data. And I have requested that our principal would talk about discipline data in her principal's report. Budget timelines, I would leave that to the board if you have direction for us.
Normally, we would get our budget, our first pass of the budget in October,
Correct.
and we work on it really over and over
All the way
again.
through.
From October through November, even into December, we're still working on that budget.
And
Okay.
has our business administrator historically helped in creating that timeline or no?
Well, that's what the board wants, but he has to create the budget, but,
And I
No, but
met,
she meant the time, she said the timelines.
um,
No, I think the business administrator responded to the board's timelines, not
Mm-hmm.
us responding to theirs, I believe.
yeah.
That's my
we-
memory.
We always go through it. Usually the second meeting in October, I believe we start, and then we go through all through
Paper copies
November.
before that, so
Mhm.
that we've had paper copies for a while, by the second meeting in October is my memory.
okay, and I have had a meeting with him to get the ball rolling for all three districts. And we'll work with Kathy on identifying budget drivers at the building level for the discussion. Update on remote learning, we will have our first Friday flex day this week. I had a meeting at the request of the grades 5 through 18 on the 17th, and I felt that it went very well and that we have a very dedicated group of staff. I have been working, and Mr. Bono has also been working in consulting with Northwood School because they also use Google Classroom, which our older students are using. And so we're learning from them and how they manage their Google Classroom. And they are learning from Strafford as they start planning tomorrow their return to a hybrid school model. So I've been sharing with them the way that you all have been managing back to school. Paraprofessional paychecks, the solution has been proposed by the president of the association. And the business administrator and I both think that her plan would work very well. And we would like to ask the board for a resolution to adopt that solution so that we've got documentation for our annual audit to show why we are doing a different kind of pay arrangement.
We just
I'd
wanna
like
see
to, I'd
it.
like to call on the paraprofessional leader, yep, that'd be you, Cindy,
Yes.
to explain it, because we don't have anything in writing here.
Well, originally, I guess, 2 meetings ago, you agreed to do the 22 paychecks. Unfortunately, that didn't come about. The first paycheck, the second paycheck, it didn't come about again. So what my solution was, is that 9 days have been paid, so we'll subtract 9 days from 182, gives you 173 times wage divided by 22. That's simple.
Say that again.
Yeah. I wonder where this-
That's all I wanted to hear.
So-
Simple.
I think everybody just paused there for a second, it wasn't just me.
So we generally are paid for 182 days.
Right.
We've been paid for 9. So if you subtract that from the 182, it gives you
Okay.
173. You take the 173 times their wage and divide that by 20 weeks. Because that's what's left, 20.
So it's a 20 payments
Right,
over the next 173 days.
that's correct. Or 20 pay periods.
The chair would entertain a motion to accept that proposal.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion?
What does, is this
No,
enough?
go away, Cindy.
Well, no, my question is more for you, is that enough of a resolution to satisfy what we need, that we have a board vote, or do you need something more formal?
Board vote's fine.
Okay.
I just need to be able to show the auditors why we are
Sure,
doing
okay.
something different with this paycheck.
so, and just for clarification for the minutes, we're gonna have 20 pay periods for the remainder of the year over the next 173 days. So they're paid.
Well, it might be more than 173 days.
Okay,
You know, it
So for the
includes
remainder of-
173 days
173
over
days.
20 pay periods.
okay. For the
Right.
remainder
It'll
of
be
the
more
year.
than 173
Right,
days.
weekends,
Yeah.
yeah.
And my last question is, I feel like we've talked about this a couple of board meetings.
Right.
So is the SAU committed to acting at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else? Any further? Carrie?
Yes.
Misty?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
I'm sorry, you were busy, I wouldn't know what you. Erica?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Thank you very very much.
That solves this problem, Cindy?
Great, thank you.
And
Thank
can
you.
you please give our, like, gratitude to the paraeducators at Strafford School and their patience throughout this is just quite remarkable. And I apologize as a community member that this has taken so long.
Well, it's gonna be solved now. so
We actually thought it was
moving
done.
forward.
Yeah, we thought it
Yeah,
was
we
done.
We thought it was done, Cindy. We
I
didn't-
know you did, I know.
We didn't realize it was still going on, so.
Thank you. School social media update, the new assistant principal will be charged with managing your social media. Both Kathy and I will serve as co-administrators, meaning we'll have access to the page. We'll be able to see when folks, when anybody were to reach out, likes, that sort of thing. We're going to disable the commenting. It will be announcements only, similar to the school board page. And then we'll work with our crack technology team to daisy chain all the communications throughout the school, whether it's an email, a Facebook post, the school board, it'll push out automatically to the school board. It'll push out automatically to the SAU Twitter. So people don't have to say, oh my gosh, I have to follow one more social media because it might be different than what comes out in email. It'll be seamless and it'll be the same communication going out. It's just one additional avenue.
And if you really can't disable the comments, but what you can do is there's a workaround. You
Yeah.
have to block like 200 words.
We have had a question from the teachers who sponsor the Washington DC school trip. And my recommendation is, in light of the public health situation, it's not safe to put kids on buses and travel. And so I recommend that we cancel the Washington DC trip. I recommend that with great regret and reluctance. I think it's the only prudent thing for us to do. So I don't know if you all need to vote on that or
No,
just
that
for
can
me
be
to
our
apprise
direction.
you.
And would they be able to do something else instead of that that would be
We'll let the
safer?
administration. come
Yeah,
up
I
with
mean, I just want them, hopefully they can do something.
If, I would certainly be willing to listen to suggestions and all, it's just gotta be something that we can ensure safety.
Right.
I don't know if y'all have ever chaperoned a trip to Washington DC.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've done that, but that is quite an undertaking for everybody. COVID-19 updates, the first run of essential purchases only were submitted to me by Kathy, and I approved those last week. We have additional plexiglass on order for selected classrooms. Once you get kids in the building and then you pull the tape measure out, sometimes the distancing is not what we thought it was going to be. So we have ordered some additional plexiglass, and that is on the way. We have another air ventilation inspection scheduled the first week in October. And we have been assigned a school health unit liaison. After the increase in cases that was reported last week, I was contacted by Dr. Steve Welford, who is a retired superintendent who lives right down the road from me in Barnstead, and he's been engaged by New Hampshire DHHS. And the system that we have in place for reporting, if we were to get a confirmed case or a presumed positive case, is that the school nurse will put it in writing to Kathy and no one else. Kathy will give it to me and no one else. I will call Steve, send it to him, and that immediately opens the investigation, rather than the school nurse having to call the hotline. And then you're just at the mercy of whoever answers the hotline. And so it took a while when we had our Nottingham confirmed cases too there. It took a while to get the investigation started. And I think this will be a much better system. And I will serve as the spokesperson for the COVID-19 public announcements that would have to be made in the event that we did have a case here. Hoping that never happens.
Just knocking on wood.
I'm gonna meet tomorrow here at the school with Kathy, and we're convening a COVID-19 preparedness and response team that'll include facilities, technology, school nurse, principal, eventually assistant principal, and myself. And then we'll meet bi-weekly by Zoom. If we were to have any presumed or positive cases, we'd meet weekly. And we're going to be confirming each time that we have at least a 30-day stock of all of our supplies that we need to have. And we'll have Kathy Cunningham review the key public health indicators relative to schools. And We will make sure that we're monitoring our facility safety and that we have preparedness for technology in the event that we have to do a quick pivot back to remote only learning. That concludes my report. I'll be glad to answer questions if you all have any.
How much discretion do we have as a board or as our own local community, with staying in person if there's a positive case, or like,
That is a local board decision.
okay,
I think if we were to have an outbreak, the Department of Public Health would have something to say and strong encouragement. But single cases, small cases, a cluster in one grade but not in another, that is a local decision. And my preference is not to shut the whole school down on the basis of one case or a couple of cases. It could be that we would quarantine or isolate a grade, depending on who's involved and who's exposed. And if we were to have a situation where we isolate a teacher, but the students are still coming to school, we would have students in the classroom with a substitute, a qualified substitute, and we would have the smart board on, and if the teacher is able to teach remotely from home, we would have instruction going on just like the teacher were there. So we have a facilitated model that we could fall back on if we had to.
How are we doing on our sub pool, if that were to occur?
Well, that's on my principal's report.
Well, then I'll be patient and wait
Just,
then.
just so you know.
Slow down.
Superintendent, you complete now?
I believe that
I don't know if this falls to your report, Monica, or if it goes over to the principal's report. But as part of your planning, things like dismissal protocols, so I know other districts have struggled when they've had to call, like we did yesterday,
Yeah.
an emergency, come and get them. But is there a plan for that? Like how the communication goes out so that it is not just knee-jerk response, that we have thoughtful communication and thoughtful pickup plan and stuff?
Well, you had a good practice this week.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
The system that Kathy has in place, I'll just say this and then I'll let her answer more fully. She's got a really good system in place that involves the use of the gym for the pickup riders that I think is working very well. But I'll let you take that one.
Well,
If it's part of your report, then just cover it when it's part of your.
I'm not sure if it is part of my report, but I'm sure you can
Will
ask
be
me a
now.
question.
You're welcome.
It can be now. So, just so you guys can hear me better, I am gonna skip the bus piece because that's probably gonna be a bit longer and get down to the septic issues. Carrie, I hope I don't steal your thunder. So we've had twice now, we've had septic issue backups and I think people have asked the question, is it related to the work and all of the repairs from last year? And the answer is no. That was the leach field that's up top. This has to do with the tank that's down at the bottom of the field and the pipe that goes right out to that. We had an issue on Friday. It was late enough that there was still that opportunity for, I mean, we were able to reroute. It wasn't ideal, but able to reroute 7th and 8th grade students to use the gym bathrooms along with the 5th and 6th grade. I think it started around 2:20. So there was time to be able to kind of manage that. They came out and found, something had clogged. Then yesterday's situation was a similar. It starts backing up down and obviously it goes sort of downhill. So it starts backing up there. All of our systems are connected. So people up in the upper part use the bathroom. It's just going to keep collecting. It started around 12:30 yesterday. So it really was just a situation that was too long for kiddos to be in the building and not be able to use that. So they came out again. And what they've had to do is go through Miss Dolan's room,
Who
they-
came out again?
Goss septic.
Oh, gosh, okay, yeah.
So they end up parking their truck back behind the classrooms and then they bring something in through Miss Dolan's room and which would be, I would imagine, a bit of a disruption if you've got kiddos in there, which we do. So they did that yesterday and what they suggested is they don't think there's anything wrong with the tank. They think that possibly the pipe, there might be some kind of split or something that's kind of closed off more being able to get through.
Sure.
So they are coming on Friday when kids won't be here. They are gonna dig that and check on that. And the other thing they're gonna do is put a way to, I guess, what did they say to me? A clean out line that would be available outside so that in the event something happens, they can address that without having to come into the building. So we'll have more information on that. Gary was pretty psyched. He said that would be very helpful. So we're hoping that there's not, I guess in some ways you hope that there is something with that pipe that's off, because for this to happen 2 days back to back is
I gotta
concerning.
let you know, I don't live far from here, and the same thing happens in Bernie Stiffs.
Okay,
And the pipes dislodged and moved out away from the tank, and Goss came out, same guys dug it up and fixed it, so they're extremely good.
so we're hopeful for that, and the clean out line will be super helpful.
Good.
So in connection with that, and I'm jumping to the other side, sorry, I'm gonna jump around a little bit. Alma in our one call now, and I won't put Mr. Bono on the spot. Obviously, we learned that when I did a one call now, in my mind, it's a one call now, I'm picking all of the staff or all of the, everyone,
Mhm.
and thinking that's going to all of the numbers for everyone. There's something with Alma, and I don't know that we need a huge, there's some sort of reset, Jim, I think is what happens each night with Alma, so it only goes to the first number instead of the other numbers. Is that accurate?
Alma uploads all the data to One Call Now every night. Right now, they're only uploading one phone number. So right now, they've stopped uploading, and we rolled it back to when we had multiple numbers. So we're all set.
Okay,
They're gonna fix it. It'll be fine.
okay. So glad that that was resolved. I think folks were, several folks were, I didn't get a call, and it took us a little bit to figure out exactly what happened. Well, I won't say we, I'm gonna say Jim figured it out, addressed it, and now we're all better, so that's good news. Personnel updates to Misty's question. We did, I think we have the kitchen staff. I think we're going to have, maybe not right this second, we're also gonna have a substitute and I believe a long-term sub para. So we've got several folks that we're getting in there, and we did get the kitchen worker that was approved. So we're working and getting, every time we get applications, we're calling and interviewing. So that's a little bit better. Just kind of a positive. I mean, the third week in school and overall, I think things are going really well. Continue to work through glitches here and there, and certainly everything is not perfect. Kids are so excited to be back in the building. I greet them in the morning, and they're just, especially the little ones, I see them more. The older kids kind of go before I greet them towards the front, and they're just so excited. And, just can't wait to come back in the building. And so that's awesome. Psyched to be with their teachers and their friends. And even with the safety precautions, nobody loves them, but I think they're really excited to be here, which is awesome. And just a shout out to all of the staff. And I've said this to several people. I can't say enough about the work that the staff has done to be able to make this happen day in and day out. It is a lot of work, but it's to see these kids in the building and to see everybody working. It's phenomenal. I mean, I couldn't be more proud of the staff in this building. It's amazing what's being accomplished right now. So a lot of schools didn't try, and here we are, third weekend. So just can't say enough about that. Back to the other page. I'll start at the bottom. And this is just kind of sharing that we continue to get requests and fielding phone calls and emails from community members asking to go from remote to in-person or face-to-face, as Dr. Henson says. I had another 2 of those today. I know we've said waiting list, and ultimately it's simply that for safety reasons, we've kind of maxed out. These folks went through and mapped out all of the rooms, and there's just not space. And those are tough conversations to have. I'm sorry, Dr. Henson, refer at least one of those to you. Just to share so that people are aware that that's something that's kind of out there that we're hearing.
Well, it was a commitment we asked people to make for the first trimester.
Sure.
So.
But there may
It's-
be new families that have moved in, is that right? Or are these
New
all-
families that have come in have kind of understood, you know, that's been shared, right, and they've been okay. These are typically, families that the kiddos are in remote and they're tough conversations to have, I feel, for the families, whether it's changes in their circumstances or concerns about their kiddo. And, you know, I've kind of, as best I can, said, if there's something that we can work out, I mean, if there's not a space, I don't have an empty seat. But just trying to be creative in ways that we can maybe support these kids and these families. So it's just, it is tough and it continues to happen. So I just want the board and people to hear that that's a legitimate thing that continues to happen. The big fun thing, the top is pretty self-explanatory. There's not a whole lot of office referrals. There's been a whole, I know, brace yourself. In our 2.5 weeks, we've had four. It's been brutal. It's been, I'm overworked with the 4 that I've had. But nothing, you know, nothing major dealt with and those are fine. The other big situation that we've got, and I included, we are lucky that our food service director is also our bus driver, who is also our resident expert on the roads and the routes. So he's a fantastic liaison for us with Dale. What I've put on here, and thank you, Eric, for getting this. He got all of this information. This proposal is from him as well. But if you look at those numbers, and he did indicate this is what was actually on the bus, but keeping in mind that there's also some days those numbers are higher and lower, depending if the kiddo is going to mom's or dad's or grandmother's or wherever else. And we said from the beginning that 26 was our safety number. And as you can see, that black bus is well over 26 constantly. The other 2 that are consistently up are red and green. We've already rerouted once, and we are continuing to get on a regular basis. I say we, it's not me, it's Eric and the drivers. They're showing up expecting to pick up 3 and 7 kids are there. I'm making up numbers, but kids are at stops and wanting to ride. They're being asked regularly, you know, I think Eric is who they contact, that they want their kids on the bus. I think there's concerns with some of the drivers are not, and I've had a conversation with Kelly at Dale. We don't want to lose drivers over numbers getting, you know, putting them in an uncomfortable feeling and above the numbers that we said were safe for kids. This lovely document that you guys have has a lot of changes in yellow, but ultimately what this has, and I was honest, I said, I don't have the authority to make these changes, but ultimately it's taking those 3 buses that are consistently over and having them double up, bring kids, changing the routes, bring kids, drop them off and go back out. It does impact, and you can see the times, the impact it would have potentially on the day. It would have the doubled routes getting here somewhere between 8:45 and 9:05. So that would be 3 buses that their second run would get here in between those times. And then in the afternoon, when they come back, those same 3 buses coming back to get their second run would put kiddos in the building, in the gym. I would guess, we'd have to figure that out, between 3:40 and 4. Keeping in mind that our paras leave at 3:30. So we would have to look at, I asked him the numbers. He said we would probably be looking at, if we were to make these changes, somewhere between 40 and 50 or 55 kiddos that would be back for that second run.
This makes, this black bus where it says, the one, right before it's yellow, it says pick up students of 2 Bow Lake estates, but not Bow Lake estates. So they're going to Bow Lake Estates, but they're not picking up the kids there. It's sort of confusing.
And I would love to speak. Eric did
The
say,
purple bus is going back and getting Bow Lake Estates.
Okay.
and I think the issue is, when you look at the numbers, is Black Bus is the most packed bus. So looking at how to break up the runs, to be able to keep all of them below the 26. And I think he did mention, I spoke with him today, the 4 buses that would not be doing double runs, which is blue, purple, orange, and black, would be still pretty close to approaching that 26. They're not going to be much under that.
So there's extra cost in terms of hiring somebody to supervise until the second batch leaves. Is there an increased cost from Dale for adding another?
I would hope not, since they're now
runs?
not transporting on Friday.
True.
I don't know that for sure, but I would hope
Good point.
that would be,
And we paid them into the spring.
Yes, we did. We paid them when we didn't use
And
them.
we didn't even have.
so,
Mhm.
I mean, the people that are still in the building until 4 are myself, it would be the AP, and it would be the front office staff.
I don't know if they have extra buses or
I
drivers.
got a question about these
Yep.
numbers.
Yep.
It's gonna be hard for you to answer because you probably don't know it off the top of your head, but when we try to separate the kids on the bus, but we're allowing siblings to sit, or telling siblings to sit together, that's still in effect, is that correct?
I think it is, but we're still trying to keep the numbers, and I know we said units. I think we're still trying to do numbers as close to possible to 26.
Because if you do have several pairs of siblings, or even a different amount, and they're sitting together, they don't have to be
Right.
distance, because they're not distance at home, they're not. So that could make the buses adjust a little bit to that number.
If the kids are both wearing masks, how far away do they have to be if they're both wearing masks?
Every other
If they're
sibling.
non-siblings.
Yep.
I think that they don't need to be less than 3 feet apart. I'm comfortable going inside of 6 feet. I'm not comfortable putting them inside of 3 feet,
No, I'm not either.
even if they're both males.
And actually, just to household members, not just siblings.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
I think there's cousins and some other
Oh,
situations.
yeah.
So we did do a survey. Are the parents just changing?
I think realistically, and I am a part of the drop-off every day and the pickup, I think there's a lot of paras, and our UA teachers are involved. I think we have a lot of people that are kind of keeping everybody separate in the gym and trying to maintain all of that. Just the nature of our road and kind of how much opportunity. And we even have the cars, if you guys have ever been a part of it, I think you probably have, Deb. We have you got coming in at the police department, kind of going around that to try and add a little, and there's still just a really long line.
People don't want
we-
to sit in the long line. so they
Right,
they
I mean,
send
we
the
have,
kids to the
we
bus
have
stop.
people lined up. I think we had 4 or 5 cars by 20 or 25 after 2. We don't even
It's an
dismiss
hour.
until 3:10. Now, it's been better, and I don't know, I know that Eric is getting requests, and I think some of it is not wanting to wait in line, and realistically, and I understand that. I don't know that that's what all of it is. On a happy note with that process is that the first few days when we had all of the kids, the paras were here and they stayed, and they're troopers and they did it, but they were kind of saying, we've been here till 3:47. We are now down and we're all in there, and everybody's like, oh, we beat our record, 3:27. So, everybody takes a lot of pride. I mean, as you get to know the kids and the cars and we're doing those, it's still just a lengthy process. And it's a tough spot to be in. I understand that kids want to, parents to be on the bus, and we want to do that. But in order to do it safely, we've got to make some kind of adjustment. And it's not ideal by any means for anybody. but if it brings our numbers down, we just can't keep changing routes. And at some point, I think it's just, kind of here's where we're at.
Thank you for doing
But thank Eric, because Eric did I get to put it all pretty and do the presentation, but Eric did, I would not know, I could read this and see all the yellow and it wouldn't mean anything to me, because I'm not familiar with the roads here, but Eric put a lot of time and effort into that.
We gotta get to the bus stop earlier now.
that. Anything else?
No,
Nice job, thank you.
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
How many more positions do you still need to fill?
long-term subs, I think we have one long-term sub and the part-time in the pre-K, but that's in part because the person who applied for the part-time in pre-K has a kiddo in pre-K. So we were able to hire them for one of the long-term sub positions. But we didn't want to have them in there with with one of their own kiddos. So I think we've done a shift to be able to cover that, but I think it's a long-term sub, a long-term para sub, and technically the pre-K half.
Okay, anything else?
When would these changes start with the bus routes?
I think they would be looking for as soon as possible. I don't want to speak for the drivers, but my understanding was that several of them were quite uncomfortable with the numbers continuing to increase and were considering taking a leave of absence. And so there's certainly a timely, and I know it's an adjustment for parents and we'll be looking at figuring out some of these time things, but I think the sooner we could make it happen for everybody, the better.
Yeah, I do think people.
I think we're gonna leave that up to your judgment on when they should start,
Right.
because
Okay.
you have the handle on how many are coming in, how many are going out, you're there every day,
Mhm.
and for us to make a decision on that, we would not want to.
So we're okay with
Handcuff you.
moving towards this.
We're
we
okay with
have
your
to,
decision.
If we have to
Okay.
do that, I just think that we should have a little bit more information for parents as the time change, to make sure that parents know exactly when to be there, when the bus is going to come drop the kids off, because that's a big change.
But they'd have to notify.
Yeah. Because it's not clear.
Okay. You'd notify parents.
Oh, yes, I'm all over it. I know all those times, right off the top of my head.
Perfect,
I'm on it.
excellent. All right, well, moving on to correspondence presentations. We got quite a lot of correspondence. We're not gonna go over every one, but we did send them to the board and
Yes.
we did read them, so.
Yes, and we had several people ask for right-to-know information, and I want to thank the SAU. I know those are very time-consuming. Thank you for providing all those for people who asked. I think really that was it, and then there was a couple that were really about individual children that we.
Sure. Okay, policies. We have two policies on our docket tonight. The one for the first reading, we typically do a posting before first reading. So the chair would entertain a motion to post the first.
This is the same one that we discussed at the joint board.
The joint
This is
board.
the big
Yeah.
legal one that we are
Yes.
supposed to,
Okay,
so to
I'm
put it
sorry, it
off.
wasn't there.
Yeah.
This is because of the rewrites in the law and the legislation that changed,
Okay.
that came into play August 14th. So we actually have been under the changes in this law since then. The problem with the legislature passing laws that shift educational policy in July is it doesn't give school boards a whole lot of time to get that up and running before school starts. So that's where we are. It's a bulky policy.
Oh, yeah, okay. Are we ready? Are you saying that we should adopt it tonight?
Well, what we decided to do at the joint board level was to temporarily adopt it and then go back through a process so people could read it.
Okay.
That said, there's not a ton of wiggle room. This is one of those policies that we don't have a whole lot of latitude in wordsmithing. It's not whether we like, and it's not about what our power is or local control. It's all the sexual harassment in Title IX and grievance policy stuff. So I guess,
And a lot of it's coming out of the feds
correct.
through the state.
And so then the second one, withdrawing is directly related to, now you withdraw the old sexual harassment policy to be replaced by the Title IX policy.
I wasn't aware that we discussed that. The joint board, because typically we post first and then have.
Well,
a
and the
first
same
reading.
discussion came up at the joint board, but because we're already bound by it, the joint board solution was to adopt it temporarily
Let's do that if
and
you
then
want.
move through the process more formally.
If you'd like to make a motion to temporarily adopt it, Chair would entertain that.
I move that we temporarily adopt policy GCCBC, which covers FMLA leave, ACAC, Title IX sexual harassment policy and grievance policy, while we work through this template as the temporary policy while we work to formally adopt a Strafford policy covering these issues
Second.
Within 30 days.
within 30 days. Or by the first, rather than 30 days, can we say to be presented at the first meeting in
October 14th.
October 14th for the first reading?
Second. And are we,
Go ahead, I'm waiting
are
for
we
the
going,
discussion.
okay, are we going to temporarily then withdraw the JBAA?
Oh, I thought that had to be done separately.
It is separate.
Okay,
But yes,
We temporarily adopt one, we temporarily withdraw the next one.
or
Carrie,
should that be a
Yes.
separate motion? Should I make that?
that'll be a separate motion after this one is voted on.
who seconded
Yes.
that?
Debbie did.
Misty,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes,
Erica,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So that is now a temporary policy. Go right ahead.
And I move that we temporarily withdraw policy, existing school board policy JBAA, which covers sexual harassment for students, and GBAA, sexual harassment employee staff, in light of the recently adopted temporary policy GCCBC.
second.
Very thorough, thank you.
Thank you.
And,
Discussion,
and we will formally withdraw that upon formally
Yes.
Accepting
the other policy.
new GCC.
Gary,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes,
Erica,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Okay.
Oh,
Oh? Or what?
well, I'm gonna go back and ask about that first policy. Have we ever determined who our Title IX person would be? Because part of the policy is you have to specifically name a person, not a position.
Our
You have to-
Title IX facilitator, I think is the title of it, is Nate Byrne.
Okay, so that's a foregone conclusion,
Yeah.
is that's the name
Yeah.
that's getting put in. Thank you.
Enrollment report on page 85. Did anybody have any questions on that?
Well, we're gonna get the numbers of remote. We can break it down into face-to-face, remote.
oh,
And-
we did
I
say
thought we had
that.
that, well, we had it last time.
I had that.
We get it, have it every time?
Yeah, we'd like to make some changes in the enrollment report. I'm gonna give them to the superintendent this week, so that we'll have a different way next time. Okay,
No, that's the column, I'm sorry, isn't that the column that is not a header? If you look on 86, the back page of the packet, the left-hand table, the furthest right column before the asterisk, isn't that column how many are remote in that grade?
That's
That's
homeschool, that's different.
Oh, it does go over that, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you for
You
including.
had it, you had it last time.
Yeah.
I get it every time.
Okay, committee updates. Do we have any committee updates?
Transition committee will be meeting October 1st. Today, the board representatives met with Aaron Stanley. Thank you, Aaron. He's going to help us with looking into our plan to transfer data from the SAU to our new SAU. And also to look at the financial software that we are interested in and to help us get our RFP started. I also do have some news. Carrie, do you know what our new SAU number will
I was
be?
just gonna
No,
ask
I was
you
gonna
that.
ask.
Guess, just guess.
108.
No? You know already.
I know already.
I know.
You know,
202.
105. Yes, yes. So that's done.
Well, I'm gonna have a sign made. We'll get together on all that.
So I think that's all. Do you have anything else? Anything else?
Okay, so we have set future meeting dates. We have October 12th as a joint board meeting, the 14th as a regular school board meeting, and the 28th as the regular school board meeting. Okay. Is there anything else on the other at this
I
time?
have a question. You guys had said that
Go ahead.
when I was typing, you were gonna formally adopt the policies at the October 4th meeting or the 14th?
14th.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I got quiet there a little bit. 14th.
And I suppose it's worth saying out loud that the October 12th joint board meeting is scheduled on a holiday,
Yeah,
and that,
we're waiting to hear from the joint board
Right.
chair as to what the need date
right,
will be.
that's what I thought I remembered hearing. So the joint board meeting may shift.
And I think just to know, looking ahead to November, both Wednesdays fall on holidays. One's Thanksgiving, one's Veterans
We'll
Day.
discuss that in the October.
Right.
We'll make our adjustments.
Right.
So we'll be getting into budget season at that time.
Yeah, so the 28th, we would expect our first pass at the budget, have it in our packet before that so we can review it. Right.
Either that or it's handed to us on the 28th.
Well, we were asking, that was the point, we're sort of asking for the paper
could have
copy
it.
before
So you
that.
want it before that to
Yeah,
review?
well,
Okay.
because it's October 28th, really close to the end.
Knowing it's drafted,
Yeah.
you know, it's
All right.
first pass.
Anything else on the other? Because we're gonna go to public comments here after this. Okay, so how we're gonna do public comments tonight is we're going to do the live people first, then we'll do Zoom. And as far as people that are live, would like you to limit to one question or one time before we get to the Zoom people. You can come back again after that and ask any other questions. Okay? So, do we have any people here live asking a public, that has a public comment? They're not public questions, they're public comment. Please state your name and address, please.
Paul Caravan, 91 Northwood Road, Strafford, New Hampshire. Good evening, everyone. We had our Strafford Recreational Sports Committee meeting yesterday, and I haven't seen much change from 2 weeks ago, but they were wondering if we could do a called a skills and drills type session out on the field. There's still some coaches and parents who are interested in getting something like that going, so I said I'd come here tonight and bring it by you and see what the answer is. So if you could just give me an answer at some point, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa Dillingham, 77 Tasker Hill Road. I know that the idea for Flex Day on Fridays was what was ultimately voted upon. I was just going to say, as a parent of a remote learner, I'm disappointed that it was a Friday and not a Wednesday. Because now as a remote learner, my daughter has to wait until the end of the week to get support, which is not helpful. We're now in our second week and it's not going that well, I'll be quite honest. And it's not that she can't do it, it's just she needs that support that I can't provide all the time. So I'm hoping that those Fridays will be structured in a way that are going to be really supportive of those remote learners, that they can get some of that one-on-one time, or at least small group time with their teachers. I'm not sure what to expect for this Friday, so I'm hoping there's going to be some communication sent out soon about what that's going to look like. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Yes.
Jessica Grant, 1586 Province Room. I actually sent in a correspondence and I didn't get any response. It was pertaining to the modular that's outside. So I was just curious, it seemed like there was quite a bit of effort and we purchased it rather quickly to use it for this year. And it doesn't seem like it's being used, so that was kind of one comment. The other was that I think we spent $50,000 on it.
Correct.
And I was just curious if there was any documentation of bids that were reviewed.
We did not have any bids. Our policy says we will put it out to bid if feasible. That module was purchased as a, I don't know how I actually want to say it, a bargain for us because it was way below market value. Kerry did some investigating and you have other bids or other
Yes.
module prices that we looked at.
3 times that.
Can you tell us what those prices were?
Yes, well, a new ski RV was 145,000, that would be similar to what we have over here.
Right.
A stick built would have been $120 a square foot, and we need at least 1,000 square feet, so that'll be 120,000. A new one like this one out here was 105,000, but it didn't have the better heating and air conditioning system. That's got the
That we have.
high end, yeah, that's the high end. And then I used, I mean, they were out of our budget anyway, all the, anything over, 50,000, I was trying to get under 60. And I looked at a lot of other used stuff, there was a lot of junk.
Is it in a position where it can be used now? 'Cause it doesn't, I haven't seen any activity.
I am waiting for, I've got quotes for electrical and plumbing. The gentleman that sold it to us done everything that he needs to do. And so the utilities have to be hooked up. And I've got one quote, but I'm waiting on another, and I'm waiting on an electrician. And then it would be usable, but I do have X amount of work I want to do to it before we use it for the SAU. And I guess it could be used for other reasons. We originally thought it was gonna be a health center with that, but I'm glad it's here, so I can work on it, get it ready. Gives me plenty of time to get ready for July 1st.
Did
And
you not have a plan? I think.
We
you
also
had
needed it
planned
for a
that space,
conference
didn't
room.
you?
Once we took the
Right.
nurses,
Oh, I have a
once we
plan.
took the nurses, the conference room for the nurse, we added a second room, we need a conference room. So we need to get that up and running because we do need another room
it'll be
at
soon.
least.
It'll be soon.
I have lots of plans.
Okay.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay,
Not
thank
storage
you.
though, not storage.
Yeah, we did see that correspondence, but I wanted to get the correct information from Carrie tonight. I didn't want to respond with the wrong information.
No, thank you.
Okay. And Carrie did promise to, what was your term, pretty it up a little bit?
Yes.
Get rid of that
Well,
big
instead of the
garage
kids-
door
I
that's-
have been saying that. since
Instead of the kids
beginning.
going to Washington, they can paint the modular.
No, you
It'll
really
be fun. I'll supervise. I'll make it fun.
promised you would do that.
Next question, please, at this. Audrey?
I'm just here to observe and
Okay.
hear what's going on. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have a
Yes,
question
go right
that
ahead.
Just kind of came into my head. Is the budget still like, so just for example, this week we received some handwriting things that we just assumed nothing was coming and then that came. So I'm only asking because it just came in my head. So has the things we ordered from last October, like in our budget, is that stuff now gonna start to come or is it
We
never coming?
gave our superintendent leeway to use her discretion of whatever is necessary right now for the school.
And so would we?
Essential
stay
items are
with-
things that the kids would need right now,
Okay.
okay? You're not getting everything because we need to really watch our money because of this COVID situation, but we want to make sure we don't go in the red. But we are trying to allow, and the superintendent's using her, we've left it up to a chief administrator to dole that out as she needs.
With your questions, we need to go through your principal.
I was just gonna say,
I
I
was
can,
just surprised when that
review.
came, so it made me wonder, oh, is the things we had asked for coming? So I don't know why those things.
We're getting a handle on,
So
we're getting
not
a
all.
handle on the COVID a little bit. Misty is Misty and Debbie both are very active with making sure that we don't overspend our COVID money and go any further into problems that we might have. So we're being careful, but we want to make sure that you still have the things that you need. Okay. Anything else from the public that are here before we have Aaron start the Zoom questions or comments? Okay, one thing that we are gonna say though, this is the last night for Zoom comments. Okay, from now on, Zoom will be listening, starting at the next meeting, but not participating at that time. Okay. And last time we had a little technical difficulty, so we didn't do it, but this time we have an expert do it for us. So Aaron, you're gonna let them in, that people are gonna have to mention, say their name and their address for our recorder.
I'm wondering if Monica's mic or speaker would be better. She's a little more familiar with the
I think
process
that's
here.
probably right. I'll turn my speaker on.
You got this, Jim?
You'll need to turn yours off. Turn it on mute.
How many people do we have now?
20.
20, okay.
Did you write a list of the numbers?
It was like 60 when I did.
No.
No, I think.
They like your
Switchboard
response.
operator,
Tell
tell
me
me.
the list of the numbers.
You want me to write the numbers down?
I think he has.
I got it.
Aaron, what I want to do is I want you to go ahead and be the host.
Okay.
I'll just run the audio out of mine.
Yep.
And let you mute them and unmute them. And
All
I'll
right,
just
you
run
just
the
want-
audio.
You want to just throw it back to me?
Yeah. Okay. You'll mute, I'll unmute.
And we're ready when you are, so.
I can't hear anything at all.
Did it end?
I'm not really sure.
Four, 479.
Hi, I don't have any comments. I'm just listening.
Thank you.
Long time listener, first time caller.
7679.
7679.
It takes a minute for them to unmute themselves. People are.
7679, do you have a comment?
Move on if they don't answer.
7826.
7826, do you have a comment?
Okay.
No comment, thank you.
Thank you.
30-second delay.
8876.
8876.
Do you have the raise your hand feature to see if anybody does that?
It actually is poking them
Okay.
to unmute themselves.
So I just used to I
Yeah.
unmute them.
But I think there was in the Zoom systems update, it's like two-person, you have to unmute both ends now, I think.
So switchboard operators out.
Guess you're stuck with us.
All right, moving on. 8361.
Did you say 8361?
Correct.
Okay, 8361, do you have a comment?
Hi, this is Mindy Bouvier, 63 Garland Road. And I was just commenting that maybe in the absence of, regarding the bus situation, before we reroute everybody, could we reach out to the parents and see if any parents are willing to pick up or drop off to maybe reduce those numbers. I've heard some people comment that they, never really knew what the plan was. They signed the survey and then never heard anything more. So, there may be adjustments that could just be made amongst the parents.
Principal will look into it.
8612.
8612, do you have a public comment?
Hey guys, it's Lindsay Taylor from 51 Fire Road 29. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I have a few things only because we weren't able to comment last week, so I'll make them quick. But one quick question. If Amanda Russell is the AP, I'm assuming that means we now have a vacant music teacher position? Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Okay, just, I mean, obviously, I was assuming that's who the Amanda Russell is we were referring to. And then I just wanted to comment on Paul's request with regard to Strafford Rec. My thought is if we're allowing in-person board meetings for parents and community members to come into the building, perhaps we can also allow parents and kids to be outside. Seems like that should be possible. There also seems to be some confusion as to what's expected. I know among parents for the face-to-face students during the Flex Fridays. For instance, do they have to be available from 8:45 to 3:10? Do they have to constantly be checking in online? Or would they be just kind of be given work that could be completed independently before returning to school? I just think either way we need to, it needs to be the same across all classrooms and grade levels, so that families, particularly with multiple children, can plan accordingly. And then I just wanted to comment on Kathy with regard to pick up and drop off. I pick up and drop off and it's gotten so much better. So kudos to you guys. Thank you. And also wanted to echo Kathy's comment regarding the staff, because I wanted to thank them as well as the admin for all their work. There's obviously a lot of extra hours, extra hats to make all this happen for our kids. They're definitely understaffed due to the vacant positions, which I'm sure is frustrating, but it's not going to last forever. It sounds like these positions are getting filled. So I hope that they continue to be recognized and appreciated by parents, community members, and of course the board. So thanks for everything you guys are doing. And that's it.
Thank you.
Seven, 6, 7, 9.
7679, do you have a comment?
No comment.
Thank you.
4746.
4746, would you like to comment?
No comment.
Thanks.
4479.
4479, do you have a comment?
No comment.
Thank you.
Seven, 8, 2, 6.
7826, would you like to comment?
No comment, thank you.
Thank you.
I know, that's why.
8361.
8361, do you have a comment?
One.
5462.
5462, do you have a comment?
No comment.
Thank you.
9183.
9183, do you have a comment?
It's 9881.
9881, do you have a comment?
No comment.
Thank you. 9888, do you have a comment?
No comment.
Thanks.
8145.
8145, do you have a comment?
Nine zero 80.
9080, would you like to comment?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Before we go and adjourn, is there anybody else here that came publicly tonight, have anything they want to say again or ask another question? Just to check, because I did say you have another chance. Now, Audrey, go ahead.
Of course, Audrey.
There we go.
Audrey Golden with Hill. I just, about the bus change, Kathy, are you going to wait and see if the bus company is going to charge us more money before you make a decision to change bus routes, or is this going to be something that's going to happen one way or the other?
I think the reality is that something has to change, regardless. I mean, we have a bus that has 10 consistently over what we've said is the safe amount. So something needs to change. I'm happy to reach out, as one of the parents had mentioned, and check in with parents. I'm happy to kind of look into whatever I can, but we absolutely need to make a change, or, we can't afford to lose drivers over putting them in an unsafe situation, and kiddos in an unsafe situation. So I'm happy to reach out in any way that I can to avoid making changes. I'm not sure. I will try.
Would this be happening like next week, or going to give us some time to work out, or, how quickly do you?
That's it.
I apologize.
It is putting me on the spot only because I do know at this point that there are drivers who are very concerned, who are considering taking a leave of absence. And I would rather work with the bus company and make some whatever change, whether it's working with the parents, as Mindy Bouvier had suggested, or working with bus routes with Dale. Because I think we're in a lot worse situation if we lose drivers, and then we're really in a bind. So whatever we can do to make sure that our kids are able to get here safely, and the staff and the bus drivers are safe and we're safe, I'm happy to try and figure out. I just think we have a pretty small window to make that decision. So I can't say Monday, but I think as soon as we can do something.
Just a word of caution about carpooling. I think probably certain neighborhood kiddos have formed cohort groups, but when you're talking about putting lots of people into one car who aren't necessarily cohort groups, that's mingling and making the tracing difficult. So I want to just caution people that, if you're going to carpool, let's carpool in our cohorts with cohorts. Thank you.
So we're doing the cohort carpool.
Oh,
yeah.
Anybody else?
We're gonna do t-shirts.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
Oh.
Lisa Dillingham, 77 Castlewood Road. I just wanted to read the email that I wrote to Ms. Henson regarding the recordings email that she sent out. And I wanted to say this publicly, that I understand I made the choice to keep my daughter home during remote learning. However, it is also my choice to have my daughter photographed or recorded. As I said at the most recent school board meeting, even saying my daughter's name is disclosing personally identifiable information. Her name is not entirely unique, but I'll bet there are very few other girls that share her name in Strafford School. I also believe it is in the best interest of Strafford teachers to not do any recordings of students present unless permission has been granted from parents. As president of my local teachers union, I've advised against any such activity of my own members for the safety of themselves, their students, and their students' families. Privacy laws are laws for a reason. I would like to know the authority that lets you require me to waive my daughter's privacy rights in order for her to receive a fair and public education. Thank you.
anybody else? Okay, would entertain a motion.
I move we adjourn at 8:29.
Second.
Good. Carrie?
Yes.
Misty?
Yeah.
Deb?
Yes.
And Eric?
Yes.
I wanted to call you Eric at first. And myself, yes. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. Aaron, thank you for recording this.
Thank you so
you,
much.
Aaron. All right.
Thank you.
You can shut it off now.
Jim, thank you too.
Yes, oh,
You're-
Jim, thank you.
This is a group effort.
Thank you.